Alright, so recently I finished my Damascus grind, and my god, what a grind it was. The first gun I got gold was the MP7, and back then I had no idea I'd be going for Damascus. I often found myself searching for help or frustrated with myself for not knowing the guns well enough. So, I decided to do a review of sorts for these guns, marking out their strengths and weaknesses, to make it easier and even suggest a few builds for anyone else who might be struggling. I thought I'd do them in order for convenience's sake, so with all that out the way, let's begin on the first gun in the first class, the Kilo 141. I used to hate the Kilo when I first started this game. I hated the iron sights, I hated the general feel of the gun, and I cast it aside without really knowing too much about it. Nowadays, the Kilo is my go-to feel-good gun, and I use it whenever I feel I'm doing badly to pick myself up. This gun is amazing. It's not the most versatile of the assault rifles, but it most certainly holds its own against the others. In terms of performance, I'd say it sits close to the M4, but doesn't feel quite as snappy when it comes to close-quarter battles. That being said, you can easily dominate the mid-range battles due to how stable the gun feels. In terms of doing the camo challenges with the Kilo, it was relatively easy. Given how steady the gun feels, it's no surprise that headshots came easily. As I said before, mid-range battles are trivialized, so the long shots pose no problem either. You can easily create a build for hipfire using the right attachments, and the Kilo performs well enough all round for no attachment kills to not feel like too much of a grind. That being said, the rest of the challenges come with time, so if you're struggling with them, try mixing up your build each game, depending on how you play the map. I wanted to get into a few builds that I personally favour. Firstly is an all-round build and the build I run the most. We'll attach a Singard Arms Whisper Barrel attachment. The built-in suppressor will help us capitalize on the enemy's lack of awareness, and it looks pretty cool too. Next, we'll attach a tack laser, which will keep the gun feeling quick on the draw. For the optic, I like to run the Cronin LP945 Mini for easier target acquisition. However, if you're fine with iron sights, I'd run sleight of hand. Old habits die hard, okay? We'll go for the Commando foregrip for the underbarrel attachment to help with recoil stabilization. And lastly, we'll go for a stipple grip tape to speed up sprint to fire and ADS speed. Second is a more close quarters centric build, which I find can still compete mid-range, albeit with not as much efficiency as the previous build. We'll be keeping the tack laser and stippled grip tape on this one for convenience's sake. Go ahead and replace the optic with the GI Mini Reflex sight. This will help give a better picture up close and help with quicker target acquisition without sacrificing too much screen space. We'll go with the no stock option too, as this will greatly increase mobility in both movement speed and ADS speed. If we're running close quarters, you'll want that extra reload speed, so go ahead and add sleight of hand to the build. Next up will be a longer range build. This is obviously a lot better for your 10v10 maps or ground war, and I probably wouldn't recommend running this in any of the close quarters maps, as you'll be dominated by the quicker guns like the SMGs when it comes to CQC. To start, we'll add the Singard Arms 16.6-inch SOCOM barrel. This gives us a major boost in control without taking too much mobility or ADS speed away from the gun. We'll keep the tack laser again, but this time replace the stipple grip tape with a rubberized, as this will give you vastly superior recoil control. For your optic, you'll want to run any of the 3.25 magnification optics or a hybrid sight. At this point, it's personal preference really. And lastly, we'll add the Ranger foregrip to decrease vertical recoil and increase aiming stability. Finally, I'll give you my Warzone setup. Fair warning, I tend to keep my engagements at a medium to longer range, so this will definitely be a slower build. We'll go for the Singard 19.8-inch Prowler barrel. This is purely optimized for my kind of battles. Keeping the enemies at a distance is what you'll want to do with this build. We'll keep the 4x flip hybrid as our optic, just in case anyone wants to bring it to closer quarters. Keep the Ranger foregrip on from the previous build. It'll help us fight recoil over the distances we'll be engaging people. A rubberized grip tape will help with that too. And finally, we'll add the 60-round magazine. Although it sacrifices mobility and a higher ammo count, it doesn't sacrifice control, which is what the 100-round magazine does. This will keep the gun as optimized for accuracy as possible, while still boosting firepower significantly. As I've said before, this gun is steady and a decent damage dealer, and it's easily one of my favorites in the game. It's super fun to fool around with the weapon building system in this game, so if my builds don't work out for you, feel free to screw around with it until you find out what's comfortable for you. If you enjoyed the video, I've got more like this on the way, so feel free to subscribe or give the video a like. Constructive criticism goes a long way too, so if you have any pointers or feel there's anything I've missed, let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.